And I'm Nick.
And today we're going to do yoga inspired by the trees. So, I want you to think about maybe your favorite tree, one that you know and see, or just a kind of tree that you really like. And I want you to think about the seed on that tree. So imagine where it is in the canopy, and then close your eyes, make yourself as small as possible, and pretend that you are that seed. So maybe we'll be waiting as a seed for a long time, maybe waiting in the tree for a while. We might fall to the ground and wait there. But either way, we're holding on until the conditions are right, and then something magical starts to happen. So I want you to take one of your feet, either one, and kind of stick it out a little bit and point it down. That's your radical. So that's the first root that comes out of the seed. And then I want you to take both of your hands, put them together like this, and start to stick them straight up. Really slowly, just kind of wiggle their way up. This is your plumule. This is like the first stem of the tree. And you can start to stretch them out a little more. Maybe put out your other foot. Have both your feet out and stretch them out a little bit. You can have your hands stretch out a little bit. Maybe these are the cotyledons. On some trees, it might just be the first leaves. You can start to stretch and stretch and stretch just sitting here. Like you're a tiny little seedling, but you're pretty big compared to that seed. And then slowly over time, you stretch even more, and you can start to bring those feet close to yourself again, and then sort of rock back up on top of them, and then slowly stand up. So now think of your feet as like pushing roots down into the ground. They're going further and then wider. So you think of your feet as stretching out as wide as possible, as much space as there is soil. And as you do that, you stretch your arms out too. So your branches, they're growing and you're growing. But maybe you're a tree growing in a forest and you're competing for light. So you're gonna be growing really tall and skinny. You can like wiggle around a little bit. You're competing with all your neighbors for that light. So you're trying to get tall. But you could also be a tree that's growing in a big open field. You don't have to compete as much. So you don't have to be working to get so tall. You can just have these big, wide branches reaching out, getting loads of sun. Oh my gosh, and we're just hanging out. You can move your arms around a little bit, maybe even widen your legs as your trunk gets bigger. And maybe think about like a nice breeze coming through, and you're just swaying with the breeze. As trees do. But then we could imagine some different weather conditions. Sometimes it gets a little windier, and we can start to swing those arms around a little bit more, not too much. If you want to really just like get some wiggles out, then you can imagine a big storm coming through, and then you start to shake your whole self. Your whole self is moving around, and all of that wood that you've spent years and years growing is holding you together. You're staying together somehow with all of this strong wind. But the wind always goes away, and comes the sun and different weather. It'll always change. You can think about rain coming down. Maybe you get a little heavy. Maybe you weigh down a little bit as the rain soaks onto your branches and leaves. Maybe it's winter and you lose your leaves, so you can put your arms back down, give them a little break. We're thinking about just being a tree without leaves. Maybe it's spring and we're just waking up again, so you can reach up one more time. And then maybe think about being one of the leaves themselves. And you can take yourself down off the tree in the fall. So imagine you're changing colors, so wiggle around a little bit. That's all those pigments kind of shifting spots in your leaves. And then as fall is coming to an end, you start to fall off the tree, so you can bend over, just bend straight over, and then just hang. Your hands can lay on the ground like the leaves do. But then think about in the springtime, everything is coming up from the roots. So we're gonna stand back up. Oh my gosh, and just with all the water and nutrients coming up from the roots, here we are up in the canopy again. So now, depending on what your favorite tree is, we could be 80 years old, 100 years old, 300 years old. We could be a big old tree. So maybe we're getting really tired and we're just sort of branching out but like pausing. So our branches don't have to be so big and high. We're not reaching for the sun anymore. And then maybe with many, many more years, some of our branches start to fall off. So we can put our arms down, and then all trees eventually change into a different form. So they may become logs. So we could take this time to sit back down, maybe lay back down. So we're gonna be a log on the ground. And here you can just lay here. Think about your lifetime as a tree. And maybe start to imagine yourself as a tiny piece of pollen from another tree that's floating through the air. Eventually we'll meet a flower of another tree, and you could become another tiny seed, and you could start the whole process over again. Or you could think about all the little critters that are gonna live all over the log. You could pretend to be one of them. Think about what they move like. There are many different ways to move your body and connect with the things that are out in the world. If you have new ideas or if you want to share that with people, I think that's a great idea. You can always tell us your ideas and we'll try them out too. Thank you for doing tree yoga with us. This has been lots of fun.